Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Get Decked, the video series where I make budget Magic the Gathering decks that you can use at your casual games night or to introduce a friend or family member to the game. Let's get into this episode and we're going to look at Chill Out, which is a white and blue deck. Let's take a look at the deck list, but first we're going to just reminder of the rules and guidelines for Get Decked. So we set ourselves a budget of $30, $30 or less at time recording. The deck's 60 cards intended for 2-player games. There's no format restrictions. We aim for a low to mid complexity, so they're accessible for newer players. And just because it's a casual deck doesn't mean it has to be weak or bad. So let's dive in. Actually, look at the cards in the deck. So we've got 19 creatures, we've got 9 enchantments, 6 sorceries, 2 artifacts, and then 24 land, and we've got a mana curve off to the side there. So let's dive in, start looking at what we've got to work with. So how are we winning? So the big strategy of the deck is, and this is something I actually really liked in the recent Wilds of Eldraine set, is it's all about tapping down an opponent's creatures and getting benefits for doing that. So our main win condition, I would say, is these creatures here. So we've got 3 Gideon's Avenger, so 1 and double white for a 2/2. Whenever a creature an opponent controls become tapped, put a +1/+1 counter on Gideon's Avenger. So that can be for any reason. A lot of the newer Wilds of Eldraine cards care about when you tap down an opponent's creature, like using a spell or ability. Gideon's Avenger is just whenever it becomes tapped for any reason, so that can include creatures just attacking. And depending against the kind of decks we're facing against, if they're using a lot of creatures, Gideon's Avenger can get really, really big really, really quickly. And of course, we've got tap down effects as well, so we can do that, and Gideon's Avenger will get the counters for that as well. So could really, really get quite big quite quickly if you manage to play it early on. And then just become a big beat stick, which we'll be able to get through because we've got a bunch of tap down effects to get blockers out of the way. We've got 4 Ice Wrought Sentries from Wilds of Eldraine, so 2 in the blue for a 2/3 with Vigilance. Whenever it attacks, you can pay 1 in the blue, and if you do, you tap a creature an opponent controls to, say, get a blocker out of the way. Whenever you tap an untapped creature an opponent controls, Ice Wrought Sentry gets +2/+1 to end turn. So obviously combos with its own ability, so it goes up to being a 4/4. But also we've got a ton of other effects in the deck that care about tapping stuff down. So this is getting as opposed to Gideon's Avenger, who's getting the permanent counter, this is getting like a bigger but temporary boost. So these two are like really our big win conditions, I think. And then to sort of like support them, and also as like as backup conditions. So we've got 3 Dream Shackle Geist, so 1 in double blue for a 3/1 with flying. So it's like an okay creature in the air. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you choose up to 1. You either tap a creature or a creature doesn't untap during its control's next untap step. So this is giving us a constant free tap down effect. Or if we've got a bunch of stuff that's already tapped down, we can keep it locked down for a turn so it doesn't untap during its next turn. So we've got 3 of those. And then we've got 3 Frost Fist Strider, who's just a big dude, 3 in double blue for 4/4 with Ward 2, so it's harder to target him with stuff. When he ends the battlefield, tap a creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it, so whenever it would untap, you just take a stun counter off it instead. So again, locks it down for a turn, and he's just a big dude. I say these are like very much the backup. It's really really about Gideon's Avenger and the Ice Wrought Sentry are the stars here. So what helps us win? So because we're playing sort of like a more controlly deck, we've got kind of more things to trigger, like we got all the tap down effects to help the win conditions actually get through. So we've got 3 Charade of Numbing Depths, 2 white and a blue for a 2/3. When she enters the battlefield, you tap a creature and opponent controls and put a stun counter, exactly like the Frost Fist Strider. Whenever you tap 1 or more untapped creatures your opponents control, you draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. So it kind of sucks it's only once per turn, but I think it would get kind of out of control if it was every time something got tapped down. Obviously, that's a guaranteed card draw the turn you play her, because you get the draw effect from her tapping something down, and I think just having her hang out there and just constantly drawing you extra cards from like all the other tap down effects, I think that's obviously going to really help. Doesn't have a tap down ability beyond that after you've played her, but like I think I say in terms of support, she's just there to help draw more cards. We've got 3 Blinding Mage, so 1 white for a 1/2. You can substitute this with a Master Decoy if you're so inclined, and you pay 1 white and tap to tap target creature. So yeah, the most straightforward version of this ability. We've also got 3 Solitary Sanctuaries, so this is a nice build around enchantment from Wilds of Eldraine. So 2 and white enchantment, when it enters the battlefield, you tap a creature and put a stun counter on it, so at the very least it does that. Whenever you tap an untapped creature and opponent controls, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So again, this can really help build up our bigger creatures, like maybe the Dream Shackle Geist because it's in the air, or you just like double up on the counters on Gideon's Avenger, stuff like that. So if we get multiple of these down as well, that's obviously super good. So yep, 3 of those. We've got 2 Bond of Discipline. This is kind of like, I would say, our game ender. So 4 and a white sorcery. Tap all creatures your opponents control, and creatures you control get lifelink turn 10. So you tap everything they've got down. You get all your synergies for tapping everything they've got down, and also all your stuff gets lifelink. So you're getting through pretty much probably unblocked. You're going to gain a bunch of life from your stuff connecting, and if that hasn't won you the game, that's put you like in probably a really good position. So there's only 2 of those here, because that is like our so that is our win button, I suppose. And then we've got 2 Verity Circles, which is an absolute gem of an enchantment. So 2 and a blue. Whenever a creature an opponent controls becomes tapped, if it isn't being declared as an attacker, you may draw a card. So very similar to Shirai's ability, but it's not limited to 1 to 10, which is amazing. And then it has an inbuilt 4 and a blue to tap target creature without flying. So we've got a bunch of tap down effects, but like just in case you haven't got any, it's got 1 built in anyway, which basically reads as tap target creature and draw a card, which is fantastic. So 2 of those as well. So yeah, if you had Verity Circle and Shirai, you'd be drawing so many cards from just tapping creatures down. So we're going to talk about what stops our opponent winning. Apart from tapping all their stuff down, we got some other options here. So we've got 4 Narcolepsies. So this is actually kind of a little bit of a gem aura, I think, from original Zendikar block. So 1 and a blue, aura goes on a creature. At the beginning of each upkeep, if the enchanted creature is untapped, it gets tapped. So beginning of turn, untap phase gets untapped, and then goes to upkeep, and then it just gets tapped again. And like, you know, if they've got an ability that lets it tap in some other way, then they can still do that. But like, they're still getting tapped one way or another. And this is really nice because it is just like a cheap, repeatable way of getting like a tap down effect to, you know, trigger off all the other abilities and creatures and synergies you've got. So I think that's a really nice inclusion there. It's kind of like you know, like a blue pacifism effect, essentially, I think. So we've got 2 pacification arrays, just 1 mana artifact, and you spend 2 and tap to tap target artifact or creature. This is, I mean, okay. It's mostly just in here to, you know, in the very off chance that we actually trigger the benefit here of Banishing Slash. So Banishing Slash is 2 white mana. You can destroy a artifact, enchantment, or a tapped creature. The tapped creature is really good, actually, because this gives really nice utility in this card that we can get rid of artifacts, enchantments, and also the creatures that we're almost essentially tapping down. And then, if we have a artifact and enchantment, we've got a few enchantments. We've only got like the 2 pacification arrays as artifacts, but if we have them both, we also make a samurai token, which is pretty great. The samurai token is only just a bonus. We're including it mostly just because like it has really great utility. It can like deal with pretty much anything. So yeah, that's what we can use to sort of like disrupt our opponent's game plan. But what stops us winning? Because, you know, not every deck is perfect. So what are our weak points that can be exploited? So until we actually find a win condition, we're kind of just doing a lot of durdling and sort of like thumb twiddling, essentially. We can tap stuff down, but if stuff keeps coming down on the board and we can't keep it tapped down, we're kind of in a bit of trouble because we need to actually find a way to punch through. Like, otherwise we're just kind of like delaying the inevitable. So that could be a potential problem there if we're not finding a win condition, like you know, like Gideon's Avenger or the Ice-Wrought Sentry, or maybe the Solitary Sanctuary that, you know, gives us benefits for tapping stuff down. Thankfully, we do have a bit of card draw in here, so we can, you know, find those cards a little bit quicker. But, you know, this is a possible that could happen, that we're just kind of essentially time wasting until we and stalling out until we find our actual win condition. There's also like the very weird downside is that obviously all our things care about tapping creatures. If like we're playing a deck that like is not heavy on creatures, we don't really have much to do, honestly. Like, yeah, because so many of our synergies rely on tapping creatures down. If there's no creatures tapped down, we're not getting synergies, and then we have to kind of make do with yeah, all these like Gideon's Avenger not getting its counters, maybe, or the Ice-Wrought Sentry having nothing to target. I mean, if that happens, then obviously maybe we can just quite happily swing through, like, because then we're kind of unopposed. But like, I suppose that's just the thing. Like, if there's no creatures to tap down, a lot of the stuff doesn't really, you know, it's not living up to its full potential. But that might be just maybe a small problem. There is also the fact as well is, as I said in the previous slide, it is a very durdly strategy of like tapping down, stalling out until you actually find the win condition. But I happen to quite like tap down strategies, so yeah, this is kind of a pet favorite of mine. So I'd love to know what you think about this deck. Is it a deck you would like enjoy playing? Are there any changes you would make to some of the cards? Is it a deck do you think that like a friend or a family member would like to play and like play Magic the Gathering with? Stick a comment below. I'd love to hear people's feedback on this one. I'll put a comment. I'll put a link to the deck as well from TappedOut, so you can access that and buy it through an online seller. But yeah, I'd love to hear people's comments on this one. I'll be back next time. Going to look at another deck that I've built for casual game night, another Get Decked video. But until then, thanks for watching and listening, and have a great day.